What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode Podcast interview. First off, thank you so much for tuning in, for checking out the show. Your support is massively appreciated. The only reason that this show exists is because of all of your amazing support. So we truly appreciate your support. I truly appreciate your support. Make sure that you're sharing the show with as many people that you feel would benefit from the show. The goal is to always grow this show and go out there and have a big impact. Real quick though, before we jump into today's podcast, I want to plug our sponsors that make all of this possible. Our first sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp. This is my real estate agent mentorship training program. It's a group training platform. This way it makes it extremely affordable for you. Inside this program, however, I am unpacking my entire playbook. I'm walking you through step by step everything that I do inside my real estate business, everything that I've done, everything I've learned in my 12-plus year career with selling over 5,000 homes, with selling over $1 billion in real estate. And I walk you through step by step exactly what I've done, how I built what I've built, and what I'm doing today to go out there and create the success. But don't mistake the low cost for low value. This is an insanely in-depth, step-by-step program where I'm walking you through, again, step-by-step on how I go out there. My team sells 1 to 2 homes every single day in today's market, continue to grow my business year after year, and how I've been able to exit from selling, exit from actually day-to-day involvement in my real estate team, and create an epic, amazing real estate team that not only sustains but grows without my involvement. So whatever level that you're at, whether you're a brand new real estate agent, you're an individual high-producing agent that wants to expand and create a team, or if you already have an amazing team, or you're a broker owner that's looking to step up your internal training, looking to step up your systems, your processes, your tracking, make your business more predictable, this program is absolutely for anybody that's serious about leveling up inside their business. So check us out, www.90daymastery.com. Make sure you use promo code LIVEMASTERY, all one word, all together, all caps. That's going to get you the biggest discount on 90daymastery.com. You're going to see tons of testimonials on their video testimonials, what's included in the program, the future dates of the program. I do several of these every single year, so make sure to check us out and make sure to jump inside that program ASAP. My next sponsor that makes this show possible is perfectstormnow.com. If you're a real estate agent and you are looking for a lead generation machine website backed by an insanely powerful CRM system that allows you to convert your leads to appointments at the highest possible level, manage all your tasks, make sure that you're effective and efficient as you possibly can be inside your business, transaction management component, all of that stuff. It is hands down by far the most effective and affordable real estate website and CRM program that exists out there in the industry. It's what I use to go out there and sell 650 plus homes every single year, and the system is gnarly. If you're signing up for that program, make sure to use promo code MASTERY, PSN, all caps, all one word, all together. That'll save you the $200 registration fee and get you a great discount. Our last sponsor is REO University. So I teamed up with a good buddy of mine who is the most knowledgeable dude, hands down, that I've ever met when it comes to REO properties. This guy used to work for the banks directly as an asset manager, and he developed so many of the systems that you see that asset managers and asset management firms and banks use today. This guy sold over 11,000 properties, foreclosure properties, as an asset manager. And he and I teamed up with my experience of working with over 35 banks in my career, selling thousands of REOs, plus his experience. We've created just an insane program. Again, REO University, the website is www.REO University. It's a one-time payment for $997, or you can split that up into 3 monthly payments. This is not a live boot camp like my 90-Day Mastery Boot Camp. This is something that you have access to instantaneously. We walk you through exactly how to go out there and get in with the banks. So how to get the business, but then how to service that business at the highest level, how to go out there and complete BPOs, how to complete cash for keys, how to make sure that you're insane at your valuations, how to go out there and make sure that your asset managers are winning and hitting their goals, key indicators you need to look for, and more. There's 22 in-depth, just amazing, powerful modules that will teach you how to become an REO machine inside your real estate business. Now, if you're like me, I don't want my business to ever be in a vulnerable position, right? I don't care if it's a good market, bad market. It doesn't mean that my business needs to be good or bad. My business can always be great. During a market crash, right? There's no such thing as if the market's going to crash. It's just a matter of when, right? But again, you don't need to put yourself in a vulnerable position. You can make sure that your real estate business is 100% recession proof, and go out there and, of course, generate business, do a ton of business regardless of what's happening in the marketplace. And this is exactly how you go out there and do it. And we walk you through step by step. So check us out, reomasteryuniversity.com. You can learn more about the program, hopefully register for the program, jump on in. This price will not last long, right? We just created this product, rolled it out several months ago, and just getting in the hands of the consumer, and people are having a lot of amazing success. So again, check us out, reomasteryuniversity.com. All right, again, you guys, thank you so much for watching this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to share the show. Make sure to comment, like us on YouTube, leave some positive comments. We love hearing back from you guys, and love getting your feedback. Keep kicking ass, and let's jump on into today's interview. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode Podcast interview every single week. We interview top entrepreneurs and straight top badasses out there dominating their space. They're people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves, their family members, as well as have a big impact on others. And today, you guys, we got another amazing rock star special guest on the show. Our guest today, you guys, is a #1 international best-selling author of Make Money, Live Wealthy. Also the founder of CEO2X, which what he does and they specialize in is helping entrepreneurs implement systems and strategies to go out there and truly scale their business as well as having a life, right? So really stoked and honored to have Austin Netzley on the show, my friend.
Hey, Joshua, I'm honored to be here. I've heard such amazing things about you, and then we connected here, and your energy is off the chart. So I'm ready to go. Let's give some value. Let's break down how people can scale their income, scale their business, and also do it, like you said, in a way that also supports their life and what they really want to do.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. And I'm so excited to dive into these topics because I think it's something that so many entrepreneurs struggle with. When I got into business, I was 23 years old and I came from just being broke. So all I wanted to do was make money. And I accomplished that within a few years of being in business where the money was good, but dude, my quality of life sucked. Working 4 a.m. to midnight and I never took into account lifestyle. It was just about money, which I get, you're struggling. It's like money. If you solve the money problem, you think it solves all these other problems, but then, my life was terrible. The money didn't matter at that point. So stoked to go deep into that, dude. But before we do that, man, I'm always intrigued in our guest journeys that led them down this path in the first place. So if we rewind the clocks, whatever that looks like, what led you down the entrepreneur path in the first place, dude?
Yeah, so backing up even before that, I grew up in middle class in Ohio, and the only thing I knew was the corporate world. That's the only path. Go to college, get a degree, hopefully go work for an amazing company and work your way up, and that's the life, right? That's what so many of us are just exposed to. I knew exactly zero entrepreneurs growing up, and at least people that were successful entrepreneurs. And then when I was about 24, so I was a couple years into the corporate world, I had like a really clear plan of how I was going to crush it in the corporate world. I wanted to be a CEO for a large company, and I was going to get my degree, get my MBA, get some sales experience, and that was going to be my trifecta that was going to take me up the chain. And it was good, and I really liked it. I worked for an amazing company, and then I was in sales, and I had a little bit more time, and I was in the car a lot, automobile university, as Zig Ziglar called it, and my boss, just amazing guy. He actually passed away at the age of 41, which that's a separate story, but he had such a big impact on me even 6 months that we worked together. And I got into sales and I was hungry. I was like, hey, let me go sell. Like, let's go do this. Let's go. He was like, no. Let's slow it down. Let's do it right. Let's have you build rapport with these clients of yours and take them over slowly. And finally, he relented and gave me something to do because I was just like, I was bored as heck. I moved out into the quote unquote the field as a sales agent in technical sales. And finally, he said, go read these 3 books. And he gave me 3 of his favorite books. They weren't related to business at all. And it was the first time that I had read outside of having to read with school or whatever. And as soon as I read those books, I was hooked. And it just taught me like, hey, I could like enjoy these books and I could learn, and I learned about life and like the stories. So then I went to the library, got my library card, and I just consumed every single book that I could on money. I was the same way as you, like hungry money, investing, wealth, happiness, psychology, all the top business, all the topics that I was super, super interested in. And I started to learn about this entrepreneurship thing, and it planted a seed, and that seed just started to grow as I learned so many more of these other stories of successful people that were writing these amazing books that were changing my life, changing my mindset. And I learned, you know what, when you back up, when you rewind the tape, when you look at it, they're just like me. They had a normal start or a horrible start, way worse than me. They weren't as intelligent as me. Like I was comparing myself to them, which we should all do, and realizing that they were a very normal person. And they achieved some amazing things on their terms by using entrepreneurship as a tool, by having the right mentality, by taking the proper steps. So I started to follow that path. So that was about the age 24. And like I said, as soon as I started down that journey of reading books, I went on to consume over 100 books in the first year, over 100 books in the second year. I was listening to something every time I was in the car, and really that changed my life. And I started my first business at the age of 25. It was an investing business, and then went from business to business after that, but also went through the same journey that you did. Money, amazing. Lifestyle, health, not so much. And those things started to teach me about what's important, not only the goals and kind of the way that a business supports your life, but also some of the other stuff that we'll probably get into today, which is around systems and doing stuff that actually scales so that you can have all this stuff happen. Because Joshua, you know it just like I do, that we don't live in an either or world. We live in an and world, right? You want this amazing life and this amazing income and this amazing relationship and this awesome family and everything else that you want all in one. It's possible with a different strategy and a different approach, and it's not working more hours technically, right? So that's a lot more than you asked for, but hopefully that gives you a background.
Yeah, no, I love it. And before, I've got a lot of follow-up questions, but before we get into some of those, what then, all right, so you're consuming these books, you decide, hey, entrepreneurship is the path I want to go. At what point did you pivot into now going out there and coaching and helping other entrepreneurs, man? Was it just solving your own problems? Like you just developed a love for it and a passion for it and saw a need, or like what led you to the coaching consulting path?
Great question. So I started to have more control with this entrepreneurship thing, and I started to make a lot more money. And my first business was day trading. It was eventually I was in sales, so I had some flexibility with my schedule. So I started day trading. I got heavy into it. I created my own algorithm and automated it. So then I was starting to make money on autopilot. I would go to work, come back from work, and have this program running for me and make some money. That was awesome. The money was cool, but I was still missing something. And what I was missing was that contribution piece. What I was missing is that fulfillment piece, that happiness, because it was me and a machine. And I was pressing a button and it was up and down. It was stressful, even though, over time I was making really good money from it. It was still super stressful. So I was missing something. And I basically burnt myself out with that first business and with my full-time job at the same time, that I ended up taking a little 18-month mini retirement and traveling. And I knew the next thing that I was going to do was still going to be in entrepreneurship, but it was also going to make sure to add a piece of contribution and significance with it. And that's when I started to get into having an online blog and business. And then that led to a book. And then that led to coaching. But the thing that a lot of people do is they'll go to coaching or consulting or helping people a little bit too soon, that I needed to make sure for my own good that I really had some strong success first. And then all those coaching and consulting opportunities opened up after that. But it was a good progression to go from making money to learning that that's definitely not the only thing, to finding a business and crafting the perfect business that was going to have me make good money, amazing money, with an industry that I was super interested in, working with people that I loved, that was getting me that contribution and fulfillment. And that's where all the total happiness comes from, because entrepreneurs, we work so often, and we take our business so seriously that it's like so meshed with our life that if we don't have like the proper business in place, first and foremost, then we're not going to ever be completely fulfilled. So definitely came after some failures and also after some success, so that I was credible, but also had the awareness to do something that was fulfilling. And coaching people now is so fulfilling because I get to see the impact that they have on their business, and most importantly, how that impacts their families' opportunities in life. And they can go on experiences, and they can, take time off, and they can actually do what they really want to do. And it's just amazing. So we have this crazy ripple effect that we at 2X are leading by example and helping people create these amazing lives. And they're going out and teaching people the stuff that we taught them. And their kids are becoming a better people for it. And it's just like, it's crazy. So definitely for anybody listening, like, think about how you can have more contribution in your business, because that's the fulfilling stuff. Making millions of dollars, cool, great, amazing. But having a contribution piece with that, priceless, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. And Tony Robbins talks a lot about that of, to create true success, you gotta have that money component, but then also set those goals for that fulfillment component. Otherwise you just make some money, but you're a miserable human being, which we see that happen all the time, right? I love it. And it becomes a different place in life when you're helping the influencers. It's like when I was like working in real estate, helping a buyer and sell, that was somewhat fulfilling. But then now when you're coaching, consulting, a team leader, a broker owner that's impacting all these agents and snowball effect you talk about, the fulfillment is just insane. So, one thing I'd like to because we're in this, I don't know the best way to frame this question, but you go out there and you see all these gurus. Like I love Grant Cardone, I love Gary Vee, but you see all these people talk about hustle, 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 right? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, like, we tie that to our worth. And as I started developing systems and processes and being able to pass those along to the right people, I realized, dude, I don't need to hustle right near as hard as I did, but it became a guilt thing because that was part of my own worth. And, can you kind of elaborate on because you can only hustle so damn hard, right? I mean, at some point you got to develop some traction and delegation and other, like, hustle only takes you so far, but it's become such a fad word that I think all these entrepreneurs just think, I just got to go out there and grind it out, create the success. But again, and I'm sure you've experienced this, that only takes you so far.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the thing that I've definitely transitioned towards is that simple is cool. Easy is cool. And if you're on social media, then hustle is cool. But there's so many busy people out there that are not making good money, that are not necessarily happy. You talked about the Tony Robbins thing. So he talks about, 6 key areas. One of those is growth. And I love hustle if you're growing, but there's like a stage after that, which is like, you don't need the hustle anymore, right? So it's great to grind and follow the season of your life, or a transition to things that are together is definitely like, whatever it is, follow the season of your life. Like, if you want to like just grind and like you're in startup phase and you want to do something, go after it and do it. Like, I did that and I loved that period of my life. I was super happy when I was working 100-hour work weeks at the beginning, right? But not for long. That stuff will burn you out if you do it too many months or too many weeks in a row. And then I also had a phase of my life where I wanted to do nothing, and I wanted to work a 4-hour work week or 0-hour work week. And that's what I did. So any of it's possible depending on what you want, but definitely the worst thing that you can do is look on social media and follow these people and have what you're talking about, Joshua, with the expectation of yourself to have to be hustling at all times. I like to be around people that are actually crushing it at such a high level, and they're doing it with ease, right? And those are the people that I'm measuring myself towards. I've got some of my friends are traveling the world right now while their multi-million dollar businesses are running. That's my measure of success, right? So who are you following? Are you following people on Instagram that are trying to make money off of your eyeballs and attention that, one of my students is a 17-year-old in New Zealand who love the kid to death and I've helped him build an amazing business, and he's made a lot of money on the Instagram, but he's the person behind some of the motivational Instagram stuff. Like, that's not the person that I want to follow. I want to follow these other people that I admire their lifestyle, their values, their businesses that they've actually created. So it's really just about who you surround yourself with, because you start to gauge yourself or measure yourself in some way, shape, or form. It's hard to stop ourselves from doing that. But the worst thing that you could do is start to measure yourself versus people that you actually don't really want to replace yourself with. So I didn't answer that directly, but the hustle mentality is totally overplayed, and it's cool to work hard, but it's way cooler and way more fun to work smart. And the way that you work smart is work hard with a focused intention of doing something that's ultimately going to scale. What most people do is they're always creating from scratch. They're always doing something for the first time over and over again. But what we're trying to do in any of our businesses and with the people that we work with is to figure out what processes and systems and people and systems that we can put in place to help do the same thing that we're going to do in our business and in our life over and over and over again, much more simply, much more repeatedly, much more easy, and not necessarily by us. So you can work hard for the initial piece, and that's important. And it's important to get in the weeds. It's important to get your hands dirty, but it's also way better to work smart. And that's the path that we recommend.
So at what point in your life and your career, did this really click? I mean, from what you were telling me their story, it sounds like, when you created that algorithm and you're like, hey man, now I put this system in place, this custom algorithm that I created, now I can go out there and play while it's making me money. Was that like the first initial point in your life that you're like, holy shit, there's something massive to these systems? Or sometimes we're doing things and not paying attention, and maybe it triggers later.
Yeah. Great question. I am a little bit of a slow learner, like probably a lot of us are, that it took more than one experience for me to really have this kind of just hammered home. First one, so I was day trading, and it was stressful as can be. And I grew up in a place that we didn't have necessarily a ton of money, to put it that way. And money was from the age of at least 8. That's kind of the first time that I remember making it. I was like, I'm going to be rich. I'm never going to have money concerns in my life. And I always had money at the top of my mind from the age of 8 on, which hopefully no kids at the age of 8 have to even think about money, obviously, for a while until they start to become an adult. But that was my focus. And so I went, to college with the idea of, okay, how can I make the most money? How can I get to the biggest company? How can I do all these things? And again, started working down that path, and then started investing because I saw that being such a big money opportunity as well. And then I was creating with that job so much stress about the exact topic that I had chosen that I never wanted to worry about in my life, which was money, right? And it was up and down. I was like, you know what? There's got to be a better way. And then that's when I started to learn about psychology and the emotional side of investing. And that I was like, wait, if I can just take out these emotions and I'm actually technically just following the numbers anyway, is there a way that I can automate this? So I didn't have a good systems focus then necessarily, but I did learn that I could do it in an automated way. And that's when I used my engineering background and my numbers focus to create the algorithm, and then figured out how to do a little bit of coding to make it live from there. So that was the first piece. And that was pretty awesome to feel that I can be working or doing something else or on the golf course or whatever and making money at the same time. So people talk about making money while you sleep, right? There's hustle and there's making money while you sleep. And both of those are, again, good and bad in their own ways. But making money while you sleep, I realized at the age of 25 when I started making money, or maybe it was 26 at that point, where I actually started making decent money from this algo, is that you can actually make money while you sleep, or actually make money while you do something else. Okay, so there's 3 forms of income, or if it's not more. One's working income. So you give in an hour, you get out X dollars, right? Like that's what most people are doing. If you're salary, if you're hourly, if you're a freelancer, whatever it is, it's trading time for money. That's what most people do. Then we've got residual, which is you do something once and you get paid for it over and over and over again. That's a pretty awesome way to do it. And then there's passive, which is to do essentially nothing and get paid for it. So the latter two are what the wealthy focus on. And that's when I started to think, okay, what are these different ways that I can do this? Well, it's with proper systems. And systems is a general term, but using the algorithm and automating that and turning my investing strategy, which I was spending a lot of time, a lot of stress into that effort, turning that into be an automated and income stream was like my first thing. So then fast forward, I crashed. I was working too hard. I was not taking care of my health. I was partying, and my body shut down. I started having anxiety attacks, and I had to call 911. And that was like just a slap in the face of, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I cannot say yes to all these opportunities. And I cannot, continue to work these 80-hour plus work weeks on end. I've got to take care of my health. So that was number two. Then fast forward to one of my future businesses, which was working with authors to help them launch and leverage their books. And I was basically building an agency, and I started selling like gangbusters. And I was just like, sell. Like, let's bring in the money. I forgot that I had to fulfill on that. Yeah. And it was a done for you service, and I didn't have the team in place. And this is like right after I had got done traveling. So I was like lifestyle level 10 over here, started this business, money shot up like crazy. I didn't have the team or the systems in place, and lifestyle went down to a 1. And I was like, that will never happen again. And that was pretty painful for me to go through. And then I realized, okay, A, I've got to make sure that I've got this thing to be a machine. B, I've got to make sure that I've had the systems in place so that I can start, getting back to my lifestyle and traveling, and also making it easier to fulfill on more successful clients and everything. Like, the systems just work for everything A to Z to make your experience better, your profit better, your customers' experience and results better. And that was kind of the third thing. That from there, I was like, all right, I'm going to master systems. I'm going to learn this, because if we back up, we look at an example. Let's say somebody's going to college, which we can talk about if that's a good idea or not, but let's use that as an example. What should somebody learn at the beginning of college? They should learn how to study really, really well and efficiently and effectively, right? They should learn how to take tests really, really well. They should learn some of these things that are going to help them succeed in that, right? When people are starting a business, what are those similar things that they need to learn to create something that scales in the right way, where we're talking about where you make money and lifestyle at the same time? Number one is system. You got to learn systems right from the start. And nobody learns this until after a few failures like I did, if they're lucky, or they'll go their entire life of just grinding and never learn about it. So systems, one of those things that you got to stop what you're doing. You can stop this interview and go and learn more about systems. Number two is hiring, because you've got to delegate. You've got to use the different forms of leverage. Leverages comes from money, it comes from systems, it comes from software, which is a form of systems, and it comes from people. Hiring. So if you spend your time as a business owner to look at it and be like, okay, I want to have some of these big goals 10 years from now, 20 years from now, next 5 years, next 50 years, whatever it is, I've got to learn two important things. I've got to learn all about systems at scale, and I've got to learn about hiring and building out the team and delegating. If you do those two things, the sky's the limit. It's literally insane what you can accomplish with those two things. So again, Joshua, more than you asked for there, but it took me a number of times to learn the importance of systems. And now I preach them out every single day because I know what they can do for people.
Yeah, love it, dude. So then, outside of, let's just say, like mindset and limiting beliefs, right? The thing that I see that stifles most entrepreneur success and being able to scale and grow and truly hit their goals and have the lifestyle that they want to have is the lack of systems and processes, man. More than not, I see, and they just become stuck, pigeonhole themselves to having a job, and they just get stuck because they don't have them in place. And from my experience, and you have a lot more experience in coaching and consulting this than I do, but a lot of it is just this intimidation piece that I see like a lot of entrepreneurs have of they overcomplicate it. They think it's more time consuming than maybe it is. They don't know where to start. So somebody that's there, right? That's maybe producing but they pigeonhole themselves to having this job. They don't have the system process in place. But like, where do they even begin? Like, what recommendation do you have to somebody that's intimidated? Because I know when I first started, dude, with systems. I went to this conference, and the guy up there that was speaking about, his name's Alex Sharfin, and he's talking about all these matrix. And at the time, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like the movie? Like what is it? And in my mind, I thought they had to be this complicated, complex thing, right? And they could be as simplistic as a friggin' whiteboard, right? So can you maybe just elaborate on where people would even start with this and maybe remove some of these limiting beliefs that they have?
Great question. And the number one thing that you can do is figure out where your 80-20 is at. So let's use real estate agents as a kind of idea. There's a lot of things that agents are doing on the front end to get those clients to come in the door, to get those clients that sign up with them. And guess what? There's probably one or two of the strategies that are working that are driving at least 80% of the results. So if we just, first of all, simplify what you're doing in general, then it becomes more clear what systems to actually focus on second. But the first thing that we do with every single client that we work with, actually, if you're on video, you can see this. One of the first calls is I pull this whiteboard over here, and we break down their business model in detail, and we literally cut out, these are all successful business owners. Again, they've already had that first level of success. We cut out literally 50% of what they're doing. 50%, because guess what? That 50% is not driving big results for them. Same thing with anybody. Same thing with you, Joshua. If you and me evaluated each other, we would say, hey, some of that time that you're spending is just like not really that valuable for you if you actually break it down. And so cut out stuff first and foremost. But related to systems specifically, the best thing that you can do is, I do this with clients all the time, is have a daily delegation meeting. So at the end of the day, every single day, for as long as it takes, list out, what did I spend my time on today that took my energy? Like it just like stressed the heck out of me, right? What did I spend my time on that I should not be doing if I was a 7-figure CEO or whatever level we are? Let's say that you're already a 7-figure or an 8-figure CEO, right? What did I spend my time on that I should not be doing? What things do I need to delegate that are on my to-do list? What systems do I need to create to make sure that these things that are on my to-do list that shouldn't be, that never get there again? And if you just spend time every single day taking out a pen and paper and writing down the answers to these simple questions, you're going to slowly, one by one, start implementing small wins. And you're going to slowly start to get more things off your plate. And then I did this for 45 days last year, and then I didn't have anything to delegate. I didn't have anything others like real systems that I needed to create. Of course, we always has different systems that the team's building and whatnot. But just it starts with writing down on paper where you're spending your time, and that'll show you where to start. And then from there, start with one thing, just to create a simple system for one particular thing. For instance, and there's, again, a bunch of different forms of what a system could look like. For me, I was spending a lot of wasted time going upstairs to fill up this bad boy. So I had a little system put in place where I got another water jug put right beside me. So now I have one right beside me as well as upstairs, right? Simple things like that are going to save you time that you're finding throughout your day of wasted time, wasted energy, things that other people can do. That's a couple thoughts. And then I'm sharing a lot here, so this is a lot. Go back and listen to this because this is some important stuff if you apply it. Is the next thing to do, Joshua, is to figure out the value of your time. And if you figure out what your time is worth, you can figure out how much you can pay to delegate stuff. And let's say that you start out and your time's, $50 per hour for what you're earning, for what you're putting in. Anything that's less than half of that, I don't want to get too complex with the math, but less than half of your dollar per hour, you need to pay somebody else to do. And you probably, if you're a hustler, you need an assistant. I wish I would have had an assistant to handle so much of those $10 or $15 or less per hour tasks right from the start. So figure out what your dollar per hour is and stay true to things that are at that level and above, and cut out everything else that's dramatically lower than that. Because you should not be spending a lot of your time on paperwork or on this, that, or the other. Of course, you got to start to hustle at first to make the money so that you can pay for these people, but figure out the value of your time and evaluate what things that you need to offload based on that, and that'll help a ton.
Yeah, love it, man. And then, so you talked about dialing in your systems, and then learning how to hire and how to delegate these tasks out to, which kind of go hand in hand, right? Like one of my favorite books is E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, right? Which
So good.
he talks in there so heavily of people not being the most important thing in a business. It's the systems, right? Because at the end of the day, like, we're not Apple. We can't go out there and pay massive amounts for an employee. So I might need a $15 hour an assistant to get this great result. But if they don't have proven systems and processes to follow, they're never going to get the result that you want, right? So once they get that dialed in, one thing I see over and over from entrepreneurs is the fear of delegation, right? If you want something done right, you got to do it yourself, and they don't know how to inspect what they expect and go from all of those. Can you kind of elaborate on, okay, once you've got your systems dialed in, when it comes to that delegation piece, because again, I don't know what it was like when you hired your first hire, but for me, it was freaky. But then, once you do it, you're like, shit, man, I should have done this years ago. And you're just trying to, at that point, delegate everything out. But people that are having a tough time with that, like, what is the best next step to go out there and start delegating?
Yeah. So a lot of people I know listening are in GSD mode kind of mentality, right? Which is like, let's move forward. I don't have time to even delegate. And they're the type of person that's going to struggle with exactly what you're talking about. Why? Because you and I have both been there, right? We just shared with it. Like 100%. It took me the longest time to be comfortable with delegating. And what I've learned, a couple key tips around this are, again, start small. You don't want to say, hey, delegate, like just go and like run that whole operations piece. Like, no, you want to give them like one small thing to focus on. You want to be really, really clear on what the measure of success is. Because if you look at a breakdown, it usually comes back to some form of communication. So you got to get aligned on like, what is the vision of this like process or system that you're creating? What does success actually look like? What is the step-by-step process to actually make that happen? And what's kind of the end result, like I talked about, right? And all this stuff you're already doing in your day-to-day process anyway. Like, for instance, let's use just an example of setting up a blog post, because I'm looking at your blog right now, Joshua. You can record yourself as you're going through that process to show exactly what to do step by step, and then turn that into an actual step-by-step that they can follow so that it's McDonald's proof. McDonald's can hire an MBA to do it. They can also hire somebody straight off the street, and they're going to be able to cook a hamburger in the exact same way. Why? Because they dialed in the system so much that it's so like just dummy proof that they can't help but succeed by following that. So step by step, have clear expectations, have a clear guidance, and kind of stack hands on what like you're actually trying to accomplish. Like, that's 10 times more than what most people are doing when they're delegating, right? Now, does it take a little bit more time to do that instead of say, hey, just go get this done? Yeah, sure. But at the same time, it takes so much more time to send that over to somebody and realize that they didn't get it done, and then you end up doing it yourself anyway, and you spend some time and energy being frustrated with that. Then you got to go out and hire another person, right? So there's so much more time involved over the long run by not learning how to delegate well and do it right from the start. But then the cool thing is, once you do that process once, you don't have to do it over and over again. That thing that came on your plate that you have to delegate and remove that one time, guess what? It doesn't even come to your plate anymore, or it's automatically handled by somebody else. So more time up front, but just dramatic returns over a period of days or weeks, or especially months and years. And there was a study done a long time ago called the marshmallow test. And what they did is basically look at kids, gave them a little marshmallow test if they want one marshmallow now or two marshmallows later, and just ultimately measured those people later in life to see if their ability to delay gratification had a measure on their success. And success was defined by wealth and happiness and job and pay and all this stuff. And what they found was that was the top indicator that they could ever measure, was if somebody could delay gratification. So you, as a hardworking individual, we won't call you a hustler. So you as a business owner, so you as the CEO of your own life, if you can delay gratification and focus on some of the painful stuff now, such as like creating the proper system for a particular thing, you're going to reap the rewards later. And delaying gratification systems, those two things are very, very much aligned because it does take more work up front.
Yeah, love it, man. So, like I've got several different businesses, right? And like my real estate business, because it's all sales driven, it's very, very easy to, at least it wasn't easy in the beginning, but to delegate out tasks and then to inspect what I expected, right? And anything that's sales related, like I find that very easy. And I'm just going to ask some selfish questions that I'm struggling with right now. And I guess that's the benefit of having your own podcast, right? Is you take advantage of picking brilliant minds like yours. So, but then I've got, like let's just say with this digital marketing company that I have now that we, obviously sell a lot of digital products and different things there, which again, the sales component's very easy. But when it comes to, because you talked about essentially creating scoreboards or ways to measure if people inside your business are winning and losing, right? Yeah. So, when you have certain positions, like again, sales is so easy. Did you do your dials? Did you do your conversations? What were the conversion ratios? But when it comes to certain positions, and this is stuff that I struggle with right now, like a graphic designer, where I can't even draw a stick figure. So number one, it can be difficult to come up with those processes and systems in place, but then to measure them, like I don't know necessarily how long, like things should take. I don't know if they're winning or losing. So what happens when you're delegating out as you grow and expand tasks that you haven't directly been involved in, and it gets a little bit harder to identify, those scoreboards?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. And what you should do is definitely have some familiarity of like what that role success really is. And what that means is it may not be you, but it could be another manager that's going to like be overseeing that person day to day that can measure what success really is. So if I'm, for instance, a project manager and I'm waiting on, like for instance, a web design project, there's a couple people that are involved with that. One of them is this graphic designer that you're talking about. What are the measures that you're looking for? What are the expectations for that graphic designer? First thing that comes to mind is the quality of what they're designing. Second thing that comes to mind is the time. Are they hitting the deadlines? Are they getting stuff on time? Then we could go with, communication, whatever. All this stuff can actually be measured. And what we do for every single role is we create a job scorecard that they have absolute clarity on what their role is, what their expectations are, how they're being measured. And guess what? These things grow over time. So you may start it and you not know exactly what that looks like, but you're going to figure out what things are stopping that from being a success, aka they miss deadlines. Well, guess what? We're going to add that in as a measure of success, and you're going to improve like your understanding of that role and your understanding of how to succeed as a manager of that role as well. So it doesn't have to be perfect right from the start if you don't know it very well, but it does have to always be very, very clear how they're being evaluated, because at the end of every month or whenever you look at your team members that you're evaluating, like, look, we're paying them money. We're paying them our hard-earned money. So we have to be really intelligent about that money. And if you are going to take that money seriously, which you should, then you have to evaluate very clearly, not just in your gut, is that person succeeding or not? And to do that, you need the clear measures and the clear objectives, not only for them to know if they're succeeding or failing, but to also know for yourself if they're succeeding or failing. And that's how you can manage more than a couple people, because it gets a lot if you're managing a couple people just based on your gut, right? And you'll start to see where the real gaps are. So that's a little bit about it. Is start with what you know. Know that you should not be doing most things yourself. Like you should not necessarily be learning about graphic design, right? And then just be evaluating, okay, what things do I need to add as a measure to make sure that this is going to succeed? And it'll become pretty clear. But a graphic designer or any of those related roles, they definitely need something related to hitting their deadlines, and you put that and you track that and you communicate that and you ultimately help them succeed. That's one of the biggest things with team management is your job as the leader is to set them up to succeed. Like that's what you actually want them to accomplish, because if they do that, then guess what? Your business succeeds, you succeed, and everything else. So instead of looking at them as them to do something, or them, to handle something that you don't know, like your job is to remove their bottlenecks and like make their life easy and have them succeed based on the terms of what you're paying them for, right? So does that answer your question, Joshua?
Yep. No, helps a lot. I love it, man. And then, you hear things out there like slow to hire, fast to fire, right? And just being totally transparent as I try to be on this podcast. I mean, I've made the mistake of, because people, it appeared they weren't pulling their weight, and then I cut them, and then later realized, man, I cut a talented person. I just wasn't doing the things like you said, setting them up for success. And so as an entrepreneur, like if our people maybe aren't winning, we got to take responsibility first, right? And identify, okay, how am I failing them? What does this look like? If somebody's struggling with that, like, I don't know if it's this person or if it's my leadership style with this, like what's kind of your process? Because you don't want to accidentally cut talent, but you also don't want to keep somebody that's untalented on your team so long. So how do you internalize that and walk through that to make sure that it is the right person?
Man, this is so good as well. You're on fire today, bro. Right? We've both been through these growth pains that, all these struggles are coming out, because these are the most common things for sure. We always go to blame the person. That's the first thing that naturally comes up, is like, well, nobody can do it as well as me. If I was doing it, I would have figured this out, right? They're always like comparing that other person to themselves. And guess what? We're the leader of the company or of our life, or, the opportunities that we have, because, potentially we are maybe more talented in some areas than some of these other people. But the first thing that it is it's never a people problem first. It's always a process problem. And if you do it right, remember McDonald's stupid. Our job is to create such a good system, create such a good process, create such a good offer and everything else where it all fits together, so that you can hire the lowest cost person to handle that thing, right? It's just arbitrage. We're looking at how can we spend money down here and make money up here, and we're going to make that profit, and we're going to solve a problem, and that's what entrepreneurs do. So with the proper structure in place, with the proper systems and processes in place, you're going to set that person up to succeed, and it's very likely not going to be a people issue. Again, you should use somebody even lower of lower quality to solve that. So always look at that. So never a people's problems first, always a process problem first. Then if you do fix the process, and if you do have something that somebody of average intelligence, or at least of the role that you're paying for, can succeed with that, and they consistently don't hit these measures that you put on that job scorecard that I talked about, now we've got an issue. And what happens with us is we've got very, very clear measures of success for each person. Every single one of those things that are being measured, we have processes and systems in place for, to make sure that they can succeed with that. And if they don't hit those measures of success, then they get rated a B+ or lower. And if they get rated a B+ or lower 2 months in a row, then they're put on an employee recovery plan, which is actually a way to move them out of the company. So again, this is a system to have. If they're not hitting these exact things that we've already defined, there's no emotions here at all, right? So if they're not hitting these exact things that they invite, then their numbers are being very, very clear that they're underperforming based on the role of what they should be expected to hit. Then they're moving basically out of the company. And the right person will be seeing this scorecard. They don't like to have those bad numbers. They're going to do something about it. But if somebody sees those bad numbers and doesn't improve, doesn't take the initiative, doesn't work with you to dial in the processes and systems to make their life easier, to get more clarity, then that's the time that you got to move somebody out. So have a system around managing your team is one of the most important things that you can do, because firing people sucks.
Yeah.
And it's hard to have those conversations. But if the way that we do it now, by having these clear numbers, they usually decide before I even have to tell them. And I have the conversation, we're going through it, and I'm looking at their last two numbers, and I'm just like, so what do you think? What are you seeing? And they're basically saying, man, I think, that like this opportunity just isn't for me. And, I've been thinking about this other thing for a while, and I'm like, hey, maybe, let's talk about that. Like, let's help you transition out of that. And guess what? They move on, or they have already stepped up and they go and create an amazing system or process that other people can follow as well. So all this system stuff makes every area of your life so much easier. Like, let's look at, the top, 5 things that suck as an entrepreneur or business owner. And one of those things is definitely firing people. So how do we make that better? Well, we have the specific measures of success up front. We have the system that everybody knows, hey, if I have 2 months in a row without getting an A- or better grade, like, I'm being basically worked out of the company. And if that's like the system that's in place in public, there's no expectations, no surprises, no emotions, and I have zero sleepless nights or worries about firing people now, just because it's done in that way.
Yeah, love it, dude. So then, earlier you talked about when you launched your helping authors with their books, right? And you were like, all right, man, life was like a 10 over here, and then, then money was up, but then my lifestyle sucked. So, a lot of times as entrepreneurs, because we see an opportunity, we capitalize on that opportunity, and then we realize after the fact that, oh man, like this was out of congruency with my lifestyle plus my business. Like, how do you assess, like, knowing what you know now and the level that you're at, how do you assess to ensure that those things can continue in alignment?
Great question. So we've got a framework with 2X, and people should watch this if they have a business, because it's the way that we build businesses. There's 10 elements, but the first element at the bottom is vision, and getting really, really clear on your vision. What the heck do you want? Because people will tell me, I want to accomplish, or I want this lifestyle. I want to be spending my time. I want to take Fridays off. I want this. But then they've got this business over here that's like the exact opposite. It's something that requires all of their time, that has no consistent pipeline that's automated of leads coming in, that has everything that's the exact opposite. So the first thing is to make sure that your goals and your vision are aligned with a strategy, a business model that's going to help make that happen. And again, through systems and people, there's pretty much any business that can accomplish that. But you got to have that focus first and foremost. And that's the first place to start. The other thing is make sure that you always have milestones about where you should be. And because there are times when you got to put your head down. And there are times like when you start something that, guess what? Your lifestyle may take some hits. We just started the company 2X in January. So, a little bit ago, whatever. And I knew exactly what we were getting into. To do something that really scales, sometimes you have to do something that doesn't. And I knew that for the first 90 days, I was going to have to do stuff, as in manage clients one-on-one, which now we have a team of coaches that are handling all the clients one-on-one, that I was going to have to do that. And that was not really worth the value of my time. Again, knowing the value of my time, right? But I knew that if I didn't have the intention of knowing that, okay, as of February 15th, I need to be removed from that role, and this type of milestone, if I just didn't have an end, then I would be in the same exact position of what I talked about, where focused on sales, income goes up, but I'm not freeing myself up. So have milestones in place with intention of how you're going to not have to hustle anymore. Hustle for a short period of time, for sure, especially as you start a business or really start to go after some goals or whatever, but you have to have some intentionality behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you got to get involved long enough to be able to identify those proven processes, right? To build the systems around them, and then to exit.
Exactly. Well, you don't necessarily have to do that for everything, but you definitely have to do that for the key pieces. And the reason why I was so in the weeds of the business to start is to validate the offer, learn the audience inside and out, and do some of these other things, not necessarily related to all the systems and processes that we were going to create, but learn the audience and the offer and validate that so clearly so that we could come back and make sure that we 100% had the best business model and strategy that was going to accomplish this vision that we wanted to. So yeah, but it all does come together. You're right.
Yeah. Love it, man. So, what I love about, guys like you and what you do, right, is most entrepreneurs, they want to focus on long-term vision, driving sales. They're not wired necessarily to go out there and build out these processes and systems, or don't know where to start. But there's amazing dudes like you that just eliminate that. And I'm a huge believer in not figuring this stuff on your own. It'll take way longer. If you ever get it figured out, it's going to cost way more money. So I'm hardcore on, let me just go find the guru that can shorten this learning path and help me implement, and which is exactly what you guys are doing at 2X. So let's talk about that a little bit. Like what are if entrepreneurs, which you and I both know, it's 95+% of them that struggle with this, like what are some of the things that you guys offer, and if they want to go out there and start working with you, like where's the best place to go do that at?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks, for that lead in. If they want to learn more, go to scale2x.com. So that's scale, the number 2, x.com. And what I would really want you to just watch is the framework. It's a 7-minute video that walks through the way that we build businesses, the way that we help people grow their businesses. There's 10 elements that really, really matter. And it not only matters what things that you focus on, it also matters what order. And people come to us and they're like, man, I've got this thing going. I just need more leads. I just need more exposure. I just need more partners. I just need more whatever. And I'm like, no. That's not what you need. Trust me, that's not what you need. What you need is a better strategy. What you need is a better business model. What you need are systems. What you need is a team around you. What you need is some freaking focus. So that's what we help people with. We take a different approach than, just go buy this Facebook thing or just focus on just the marketing. We take a step back because we want to teach you how to build a real business or something that really, really scales. So what we offer is a 90-day hands-on one-on-one program. There's also a group element involved, but the main value of it is one-on-one, because what busy and successful people need is not necessarily another course. I've made a lot of money in courses, so I should not be such a negative person about courses and whatnot, but we live in a busy world that you can learn so much through books and through podcasts and through YouTube videos and whatnot, that's the first level of getting some traction. But if you want to move fast, there's a different way, and you need some of that one-on-one hand-holding. You need that accountability. Everybody needs accountability. You need that one-on-one guidance, and you need somebody that really understands your situation, not just some general advice. Right now, Joshua, you and I are talking about general advice, but the best way that we could help somebody succeed is go deep into their business, actually understand their business inside and out, and that's the best way that we can give that advice. So that's what we've done. That's why I created 2X, is because 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs and business owners needed this hand-holding. They didn't need another training video out there or whatever. They needed the accountability, and they needed it in a short enough time that they could really focus and go all in, but also a long enough time that they could really feel the results. One of our people just finished the program. He was the first client that went through. He came in and he actually, I talked to him 8 months before he actually joined, and I didn't have 2X developed at that time. It was just actually, it wasn't even an idea just yet. And he said, you know what, I'm good. I got this. And I'm going to go out on my own. And guess what? His income did this, flatlined. It was nothing changed in 8 months. In fact, his income last year, as a result of that, went down versus where it was in 2016. Okay. Doing it himself, taking the road. He's got this. He's an A player. He doesn't need anybody, right? Then he came into 2X. And what happened is he grew his income 5.7 times versus where he was at. So it's not like our goal, like 2X is double your business. Like we promised to double your business in 90 days. We almost 6X'd his business. And the way that he did that is following the structure, implementing systems, removing himself as the bottleneck, not focusing on the marketing, believe it or not, and focusing on these systems and strategy. And if you do that, the marketing becomes easy. And then we started to implement a couple strategies, and he's just off to the races. And that's the common path that everybody's having. We'll definitely have our clients average way more than 2X their business, which is pretty crazy, which goes to show you the importance of a proper strategy and of systems of what we've talked about here today, Joshua, because we don't even do much on the marketing side. So if you take like a couple things from this call here today, guys, definitely take away the power and the value of systems, and look at really learning what you can around these, because they will set you free and allow you to scale. And it's pretty amazing what you can do, and what you can actually spend your time on. Here in 30 minutes, I'm going to pick up my mom from the airport, and I'm spending the next 3 days just absolutely wowing her in every single way and having an amazing time. I'll check my Slack, which is my internal team communication, a couple times, and I'll spend maybe 20 something minutes working that entire time. My team's going to be rocking and rolling. My clients are level 10 happy. And the only way that I can do all this stuff all in once and have the amazing lifestyle or whatever is because I put the proper systems in place and covered everything that we're talking about, Joshua. So I don't want to say that to brag, because that sounds kind of douchey, but I want to say that to like share with people of like, I'm also the same person that burnt out and had to call 911. I'm also the same person that was deep in debt. I'm also the same person that, insert failure here, has been there, that there's two different ways. There's the grind it kind of way, and there's the smart kind of way, and strategies and systems will help set you free.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's one of those things that's so difficult to communicate that to somebody that hasn't seen the power of systems and processes inside their life and inside their business. And I'm on the same mindset you are, as do they are everything, right? When it comes to your business, your systems are everything inside your organization. And it's a shame that more entrepreneurs don't grasp it. I think we would see the failure rate vastly decline if entrepreneurs really grasp that concept. And what I love about what you're doing too, dude, is there's times, like I want to go out there and gain the knowledge and whatever, but more times than not, right? So I just need somebody. I mean, I'm busy operating business, life, whatever. I just need somebody to tell me exactly what the hell to do and exactly what to do, right? Not think about it, just freaking take action, right? Which a course like yours or a program like yours is really, you're not going to gain that from listening to podcasts or reading books, right? So love it, brother.
100%. So on that point is like, we make so many decisions throughout the day, right? Like a lot of times it's either alpha males or alpha females that are coming into our program, and like we're leaders and we're like driving our organization, and we make so many decisions throughout the day that when they come to us, they're like, just tell me what to do. Like I'm exhausted, right? And that's what we do. And we don't give them 15 action items every single week. That's the last thing that we want to do. We actually, first of all, like I talked about, we simplify, we cut out 50% of what they're doing anyway. So we save them a lot of time. Then we tell them what to do, and we take it one step at a time. But just imagine if you implemented one important system into your life and business per week, just one. Just imagine if you got one important thing done every single week. Just imagine if you had one really big aha from somebody that's a couple steps ahead of you as a business coach or mentor, right? Like it's insane. This is why it just compounds on top of each other, and people are having such exponential results. But also it's like they become a whole new person in 90 days, which is, again, going back to the contribution and fulfillment piece and the significance piece. That's where I get all the enjoyment. Is like seeing these people transform. Yes, 5.7x and 4x, and this other person that we're going to help build a $100 million business. Like they're definitely going to get there this year, which is they just started their business like not even 6 months ago. Like these things are awesome, but the cool thing is like the real results, which is what it means for their family, what it means for their happiness, what it means for their balance, what it means for their life, right? So it's that's the fun part, but definitely aligned with you, man. It's like. The thing that I think about with like, cost and investment and like where to learn or whatnot is like the cost of not taking the proper path, right? Because we can't, guess what? I can send you probably, 5 or 10 books, and you can learn a lot about systems, and you can go and I can send you a bunch of videos, and you can learn probably a bunch of stuff on your own as well. But the opportunity cost is one that so many entrepreneurs don't take into account. And like I shared with you, I grew up where money was not necessarily abundant. So it took me until definitely my later 20s to start to get to the point, even though I had made a ton of money by that point, where I was like super confident to invest in myself. And I was super like not cheap right? There's a difference between being frugal, being money wise, and like being cheap. Like being cheap is the most expensive thing in the world. And trying to do it all yourself is the worst path that you can possibly take. And I missed out on literally tens of millions of dollars, if not over 9 figures, by trying to do too much myself, by trying to learn too much myself, by trying to take like cut corners and whatnot. Like it's just crazy. And and I don't want to like tell people that in like a sales call or something, because I don't want to like, feel like I'm like trying to, get around them in any way, shape or form. But at the same time, I believe in what we're doing and what we're talking about so much that I tell them that. And I hope that that pushes some of them into action, whether it be now or in the future. So with you guys listen to this, like think about the cost of inaction, think about the opportunity cost, and think about the long term. If you invest a little bit now to go to a great seminar or get some great one-on-one coaching or to join a really high-end program, don't think about the instant ROI as much as I want you to think about what that means 5 years from now. And guess what? This year, I'm going to invest over 6 figures into myself by learning. And that 6 figures is going to pay me millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'll do that all day long. Most people think about that, say of spending over $100,000 in coaching and investing, or in like conferences and learning and everything. Like, man, that sounds like a lot. Like, why don't I just buy 5 books instead, and I get them from the library and I have to pay $0? That's great. That's what I did for the first couple of years. But now I'm looking for the shortcut. Now I'm looking for, don't even give me your video series. I want like you. I want 1 hour with you, Joshua. Give it to me. Like, let's do it. I'll pay you like whatever. $1,000 not great. Like let's do it. I want the shortcut. And because I've learned that success loves speed, money loves speed, and time is money. Like those cheesy quotes, like 100% real. And I'm going to move faster than everybody. I'm going to learn faster than everybody. And I'm not going to cut corners anymore. And I wish that my 25-year-old self knew that.
Yeah. Love it, man. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, anybody that, I roll with that's self-made, highly successful, 7+ net yearly income earner. I don't know one of them that isn't spending, that 6-figure plus, range a year in self-development. I mean, there's no greater ROI, man. And I couldn't agree more, dude. And
on that point, it's like, everybody's like, well, yeah, they're making 7 figures. So like they can spend that. Like I'm not making that. Well, it's the chicken or the egg, right? Yeah. How did they get there? Well, they took it freaking seriously and they bet on themselves and they found the best and they learned from them and they got there. And now they can do that without even thinking about it, which at the beginning, they usually have to think about it. So don't go and spend $100K in the next 3 months on something. Find something to invest in yourself more than you've ever invested in your life. And whether it works out or not, guess what? Some of the coaches that you have in your life are not going to work out. But look at the best athletes. Look at the best at any insert profession. They have coaches. They have the fast path around them. They aren't joining general courses. They're not watching all these YouTube videos. They're not reading 100, 200 books a year like I used to. They're taking a more strategic approach. So.
Yeah, I think it was Brian Tracy that said, or always preached for entrepreneurs to invest 10% of your income. Yeah, right. So if you're making $100,000 a year, invest $10,000 a year, and then it becomes relative, and you just keep scaling up with the type of coach and the quality of coach and mentors that you can have. But I mean, would you agree with that 10% of your income to scale up with your self development?
Yeah, I think that's a good general number. Like the first and most scariest time is just the first time. Yeah. Like just figure out one thing to invest in, and then you're going to either like learn through failure what not to do, or you're going to learn a lot. And it's like investing in businesses. The ones that pay out a crazy amount. The ones that don't pay out, they cost you a little bit. Okay. But you always have to be investing. I'm investing in myself every single day. You probably heard or saw people walk by. Those are employees that are doing different things that I'm investing in. So there's different forms of investment. Yeah. Invest in your food that goes into your body. Invest in your education and coaching. Invest in a team and people around you. Everything should not be a cost. Everything should be an investment, whether it's experiences like I'm talking about with my mom, or whether it be something else. Don't look at the dollar amount. Look at the return. Look at what it really means for you, especially if it can free up your time and help you get somewhere faster.
Yep, love it. Powerful stuff. And those that are watching and listening, I know I end every podcast with this, but information without implementation is truly just a start of delusion. Information isn't power. It's taking that information and taking action on it that creates power in your life for you to go out there and create the life you know you want and deserve. And Austin shared so many amazing pieces of advice with you guys today. Take something that you learned, take immediate action on it. And I don't care where you're watching or listening, below will be Austin's website, so you can go connect with him. On the site, as he mentioned, there's a lot of free content, free downloads too. So maybe you're not at the point where you're able to invest, still go check out his website, because there's a lot of great information on there that you guys can all gain a lot from. And Austin, man, I know how valuable your time is, bro. I appreciate you taking time out of busy to be here. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, really appreciate the questions, actually, because these are really important stuff that entrepreneurs need to know. And again, I wish I would kill to know this stuff years ago. So great on you for putting this together and for leading the people that you are and for everything that you do. So keep leading the way, Joshua. Love what you got going on and appreciate you.
Yep, you as well, my friend. Thanks so much. Truly appreciate the kind words. All right, you guys, we will see you next time.